All right, this is No Excuses with Michael DeLeonardo. I'm your host, RJ Roger. So before we jump into this live, this was a unplanned. Um, we didn't have a plan on really going on it, so we're kind of just jumping on and answer a couple questions and run some questions by Michael. And one of the reasons I wanted to go live was because I want to give a. I've been getting some feedback in the comments section that I wanted to address. Um, so Patreon, why are we on Patreon? I had some people ask me that. So just to be quite candid with everyone, when I met Michael shortly after I made a program on him on Black Handprint Mafia, um, we met through me making that show, and our relationship was largely just conversational, being on the phone. Um, Now I asked him 100 times, "Hey, come on my show one day," but he always told me, "Not interested. I've gotten offers before, not something I wanted to do." So there was never a plan for Michael to come to Patreon. I mean, to come to YouTube. I even answered some questions about that back when I was still on Black Handprint. So some people say, "Hey, I thought you said Michael wasn't coming to YouTube." While the plan was he was not. Um, and to be very candid, Michael had a major network offer to do things, where he had a $20,000 offer that he turned down. I personally offered Michael $10,000 to appear on my Black Handprint Mafia channel. He turned me down. I remember where I was standing when he said it. Down the road, I've offered him money again a second time, and his exact response to me was, "RJ, I don't want to be in your pocket, but maybe we can partner up on something." And that's when we started to talk about maybe doing a limited uh, program discussing certain things in his life. And the way I actually convinced Michael to come on to YouTube or to come on and talk about his life, is I said to him, "If you don't tell your story, it will be told for you. If you don't put history in from your mouth in place, somebody's going to tell it for you." And that's when he kind of first started thinking, maybe I'll think about it. So over time, months had gone by before we ever did anything. So that's what got Michael on out here talking. We didn't come on here to get rich or make a lot of money. And anyone that knows anything about YouTube or podcasting, there's no money in it. Okay. So the original plan for YouTube was that we were going to um, do one or two brief discussions on YouTube, then move to Patreon. The audience feedback was so overwhelming that I convinced Michael, let's do a few more because people seem to like it. And now we're up over 30 releases that we put on YouTube, none of which was ever the plan. So now we're just going over to Patreon, which was the original plan in the beginning. So if you have not subscribed to our Patreon channel, please check out Patreon. There'll be a lot of good, more detailed shows that you'll find on Patreon. We're really going to get into the nuts and bolts of some things. Other than that, hey Michael, how you doing?
Very good. I think it's very well said. I think we needed some clarity there because the people that joined us later on YouTube uh, don't remember the initial introduction of what we were going to do for this show. And that was initially you said we're going to go to Patreon. So, there's people who probably didn't see it. I just want to bring clarity because the posters that said it were all great people. They weren't attacking us. They were curious as to, hey, wait, you built up to 10,000 subscribers. Now you want to get paid type thing. And I could see that. You're getting a lot of free content, a lot of great stories. Um, and the feedback for me, I carry a little guilt with that, is because, people have embraced us. And with all the good feedback, it shows that we're being truthful. They believe us. what we're doing and the model we're presenting and our agenda. And it was, going back to what you said about somebody telling my story. It's not only my story. And my motivation really came not because of me. I want to tell me type stuff. People have a right to bash me in the street that I impacted their families, as we said in prior shows. This was, if I could give some people's families maybe an insight, a look into the people they lost in the street that have died, were murdered, my perspective. Was it really just that they died? Because everybody when they kill somebody, it's usually justified. And these are all the voices out there that I know. And that part really troubled me because that's the information, that's the story that's being told wrong in my eyes. So this isn't about me telling me story, because I think I have a problem, and I think you'll say it. I have a problem talking about me stories. I don't want to have that S on my chest. Like I saved and helped everybody in this life, but it's about the other people, the people with the families that really don't know. They're hearing other voices tell the story, whether they're testifying in court, YouTube channels now contradicting themselves and each other. And this is not going after anybody else. That's the way they see the world. That's the way they perceived what they did and justified what they did at that time. I just feel that was time to maybe tell a little different story on how things occurred. And that's really my motivation. Along with you, our chemistry was good. We talked on the phone about our personal lives, things we liked, things we didn't like. And we pretty much hit it off. And I thought that, you're a lighthearted guy. And you're not prejudiced by anything in the past by having affiliations with street people. And you were open-minded and objective, because you were pretty well dug in with a lot of your theories and your readings and the work, your research work you did. So in talking to you, you had an open mind in some of the things that I said. It's not that I manipulated or convinced you. You still fact-checked me. And we came back and we struck this relationship. And that's what it's about. It's about going forward. And when we get tired of doing this, RJ, it's over. But I want to get some messages out.
Yeah.
We're not here to trick anybody. We're not here to fool anybody. We want to be fact-checked. We want everybody to have a good time learning this. On the other one, you talk about going to Patreon. Why Patreon at that time? The Patreon, yes, I had no clue about YouTube, how it worked. Zero. I still don't, as you know. You do everything, not me. And the Patreon, less than nothing now, because I know maybe just a little bit about YouTube now. But the point was, on Patreon, you can control who comes in and out. And by meaning that when you pay, you're not going to be a troll, come on and just say rat this, rat that, curses, yelling, racial stuff, all that stuff that has to be filtered out. It's your job. So I said, how do we get away from that? You said on YouTube, it's impossible. The only way we got to monitor, stay on the comments. You don't want to chase people off the board. We don't want to fight with anybody, because that was our agenda, not to. So you said there's one other place you could go, another home we can land. And it's a place called Patreon, where if people come on, we'll know who they are. There's people who made threats. I'm not just even talking about me, to you and other people. That's silly stuff. But still, we don't want to have that on the board. So it's a heavy job for, filtering through all of this. It's work. And, you said that's the place we could be more safe, give out great content, and we don't have to deal with the nonsense of trolls just coming on, just being annoying. So, and they have a right, but go somewhere else and do it, not with us. We're not here for that.
Thank you. Okay. I wasn't going to get into the nuts and bolts, but since you started scratching the surface, I'm just going to get to it. My biggest concern, was trolls on YouTube. Attack channels that don't do nothing but attack all day long, make your life miserable. I did a year on YouTube before I started working with Michael. I'm like the only guy on YouTube, maybe like me and maybe OC Shorts that we don't say nothing bad about nobody. And I still was taking attacks for not doing nothing. And I knew that your history was so bright and so rich and so much. I like the serious audience, the people who come to the table with an open mind, and when they disagree, they can be respectful, and when they agree, your way of your conduct's the same, no matter if you agree or disagree, because you're there to hear different perspectives. And I knew that Patreon is a place where if you're signing up, it's the same as a dating site. A woman, they say that if you go on a free dating site, you're getting much more junk as far as men signing up. But if you're spending $50 a month or $40 a month, you're weeding out a certain type of a person and you're getting the better people in. So if you're spending $10 a month, you're probably really here to learn something. You're probably not spending $10 a month to come troll me. You're here because you want to learn something.
That's
so
cool.
So that's why I presented Patreon to you, Michael, as an alternative to where we can just get a good audience in and talk to some serious people.
Absolutely. And I hope you all appreciate that as a fact that you won't be interrupted. Because we've had trolls come on YouTube and we had our good posters, not good like just for me or you personally, that want to learn, they were attacking the trolls. And we don't want to see that either. But they were sticking up for the channel. There was like an interruption. And those people we're proud of, because that's what they're doing. Get out. If you don't like it, get out. You know? So, yeah, and I got a lot of people from my neighborhood who know my past. That's a huge reward that I can't believe. It's got to be 150 people, I think, that I can almost recognize from my neighborhood, talked about my neighborhood privately, sending us private messages because they don't want to be on the board. It's really rewarding. Talk about old stories from when I was a kid, 12 years old, all the way up till I flipped. So there's people out there that want to engage and they can do it privately. And this is what we want to do. They remind me of stories that I forgot, which is funny because you don't remember everything, but it kicks off some stuff I could talk about when I was a kid, growing up in Bensonhurst, when I was a kid, and the mischief and stupid things that we did, and so it's interesting. It really is. I got to like it. It was very difficult speaking in the beginning, like any time else, talking about things in the past that bothered you. But now it's become more of interactive. And I can't believe the response, like I said, of people that are reliving their past in a good way on this channel. There's a guy, Joe Cap, is on recently. I know this guy. I don't know who it is, but I know he's telling me stories that relate to going back to 14, 15 years old. Guys from Bay 23rd and Bath. Wasn't just Bay 16 and Bath. Bath there, we had a lot of gangs on every corner, a lot of crews. Bay 23rd was a formidable crew. We battled them as kids when we were young all the time. We hated each other. And up until Flaming Arrow attacks. They came to fight us one night. And this kid probably knows. I got to ask him. Flaming Arrow. We had flaming arrows, Molotov cocktails. That's how crazy it was, 14, 15 years old. Fighting the kids from our own neighborhood. So, it just kicks up all those stories. And there's other guys that come on. It's really interesting how they remember. They have great memories of a bad time, let's say, at that time. But now they're interacting. This kid probably fought against this Joe P at one time. Now he's here engaging with me. So it's really rewarding.
I heard Jimmy Calandra say one time, I was watching one of his shows, and he said, YouTube can be as much of a rewarding place as it can be a place that it's complete contradictory. It can be a place of hell or it can be a place of heaven. It just depends on what you do when you're on it. And I always kind of thought about that. You can gain something because even with some of the stuff people say to me, if I'm being honest, 98% of my time on YouTube, period, it's been a confidence booster, gave me self-esteem, taught me a lot. I met people from all over the world. People have sent me stuff. People have said it's an honor to hear my voice on the phone. People who've asked for my autograph. People have bought me dinner. People send me stuff in the mail. People ask me to, it's my husband's birthday. He loves watching you. Can you send me a signed picture of you in the mail? I've gotten stopped on planes before, going places, someone people wreck. So it can be something that can be enriching. It's those distractors. It's always a shame. I can't imagine how it feels to be a troll. I don't ever want to wake up in the mirror and see a troll in the reflection.
Well, I want to answer Joe P in a minute, but first I want to throw something before I forget. Now, interesting what you said. A moderator, a host, co-host, whoever's on this show, you dictate the pace to your audience, like we just delineated everything in this first 10 minutes that we're on here. If you engage in going back and forth, I got to give these guys tips, RJ. Oh, you shouldn't, right?
No.
Nice tips, but I'll do it anyway. If you engage in negativity with the people on your site, you're only going to get it back. You ain't going to win. There's plenty of them. Now, if you're going to go there and challenge facts or feelings or opinions of people, you ain't going to win. You have to know how to navigate. These people are here to see you, to get information. Stop bickering with them. Stop fighting with them. That's the only thing. I see some other people are coming around to the way we handle our show and our business. We hear a lot out there, right, RJ, as far as they want to be more like us without saying they want to be more like us. Well, we come naturally. I want to see how people do it that comes unnaturally, how long they could do it for. And I hope they do it well. I really do. Maybe they could. We give somebody a sense of reason, and we've seen it in a couple of people already.
Yeah.
Right? The way they've come around, and it's a good thing. But it starts with us. It starts with what's behind that screen. What kind of show you want to have?
And that's
let me give my shout out. I forgot. I almost forgot it. It went away. There's one of the people I met online in the comment section, and we're going back and forth talking. A really nice guy, Joe P. And Joe P. happened to live in a town that I lived right in Ohio, Westlake, Ohio, at one time. I was there for about a year and a half, a little bit around there. And we were neighbors, and we didn't even know it. But we found each other he found me when we would talk, going back and forth. We found each other online. Nice, a great, loyal guy. Comes on here, has a lot to offer, a lot to say. And it's great. And he finds himself comfort zone here also. So, this is, like you said, there's a network. I'm sure if you went to England, you'd be over there having a couple of drinks with somebody, right? So, this is a worldwide thing, and people that are interested feel they belong to a club. This is what we want. We want everybody to feel like they're part of the show, not just a person that comes in. And with Patreon, you can get more of that people are more part of a club. There's a membership fee. Just think of it as a membership fee. RJ puts a ton of work in. He quit his job, literally, to do other things. Literally, a couple of months. I'm sorry, I brought that out about a month ago. But, it just leads into how much work is in there. It's not a joke, on your end. I talk, I play a little bit here and there. You're doing the work.
I was talking to Jeff Nadeau on the phone yesterday. He has a big show getting ready to come out. I ain't going to spoil the surprise, but he has a big show. And I sometimes wish, and this kind of sounds a little naggy, but I sometimes wish that people who just so quickly, you blah, blah, blah. If they knew from a commenter standpoint, even if you hate someone's content, I'm not the kind of person, if I hate your content, I'm not going to go on and say nothing then. But I might even send you some encouraging words like, hey, I watched it. It didn't hold my interest that long, but hey, I'll check back, keep it going, keep working at it. But I'm not going to just shoot your whole person down. But when you're a content creator, people don't know what we go through. And Jeff just went through hell to make a big interview happen, taking a train, renting a hotel, traveling out of state, paying expenses, fees, things like that. No different than the process that I had, that me and you brought, making a relationship. I didn't just shoot you a text. We built a relationship. I took flights and things, then to bring good content to people don't know what what we go through, how many hours that we sit up at night to bring content to people. So
to your point, I'll make a confession. I wanted to meet you in person, and you had the opportunity on a special day to say, "Hey, listen, I'm going to go away for a couple of days." And I said, "Why don't you come here? Come by me. Come down here, right? Hang out." And we got to know each other a little bit different, more personal. So you're right. There is a cost of traveling and other expenses into this. So it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Let me give Jeff a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff has a huge person on the show. When's it going to come out, RJ?
I think he said Wednesday. It's either Monday or Wednesday. He's going to put the interview out.
I suggest you all watch it. It's going to be great. I don't know nothing about the questions he asked, but I know the person that's there and then Jeff's the way his interviewing abilities. I think it's going to be really good. I'm curious to see what this person said about me and our show, because I'm sure Jeff's going to ask him certain things about certain people. Not that I know it, but we'll see. And, maybe it'd be interesting. Maybe it'd be a show off a Jeff show. You never know. Depending on what that person says.
Yeah. Well, I'm always trying to be supportive to any content creator because it's tough being on here. You wake up. Now, Michael, you on the benefit, the benefit end, but every day we wake up with 300 people that have something to say about us. Every day, you wake up, you check your computer, you got hundreds of people who's going to say something to you, and you're fortunate that you get 100% positive feedback. Most of the negative feedback on this channel is at me, but some people can't take one person. One person can ruin their whole day. A content creator might take 300 people a day, call them a bad name. It's tough. It's tough waking up every day to having everybody from all over the world. People can say something to you. It's tough. It can be tough.
Well, we do have a great following from England, United Kingdom, Scotland, Wales, even Denmark, Australia. Brad, who was on Convict Inc., did a great show on there. He was a good guy. He was on our site, and he came and he gave us an invitation to go over there and watch, and we did. It was fantastic. So you get other people interacting that when they feel comfortable, they'll invite you somewhere. Just like you meet somebody in the street, comfortable, they'll invite you to dinner or to their house after a while. So we're going into different people's houses, and it means a lot. Ireland, the Irish. I mean, we've got people from all over. Surprisingly, not too many from Italy. I wonder why.
That's funny.
So you got Mr. Krabs over here. He says, RJ, where are you getting 10,000 from? He's got a huge sock drawer. Deep sock drawer. He's got his communion money.
I'm not sure if he's trolling me or if he's just making a joke.
He's breaking chops. He's a good guy.
He's breaking my chops. Okay.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
It's funny because everybody, I get people all the time to say, "Hey, tell Michael, I'll pay him if he comes over and he does this with me, does that with me." And I always tell people, he turned down my 10,000. You think he's going to take your 10? Take your 1,000 or your 500? Like, or I get this. Hey, I got a whole a big channel, bunch of subscribers. I say we just turned down a 4 million subscriber channel. He doesn't do anything because how much money you're going to give or how big your channel is. It's relationship based. So
it will come a time. We just wanted to build our brand, let it be known out there. Look, the longer we wait, sometimes they say, well, you diminish yourself because your info's out there. But I think the longer we wait, if a big guy wants to come in and interview us, RJ, he'll have more to ask us.
Yeah.
We already made record. We can't back away. Anybody gets on here, you made a record. So I'm willing to stand by my record.
And I'm proud. Some people say we didn't grow fast enough and things like that. I say to myself, we didn't go to Vlad TV. We didn't go to no big channels. We made no appearances. We didn't do no marketing. We just come on here, we record, we upload, and that's it. And I think for a grassroots independent channel, I'm really happy with all the feedback that came in. We've only been on YouTube for 3 months. We did 3 months on YouTube. We got over 800,000 views, and we got thousands. We met people from all over the world, lots of feedback, and I'm happy with what happened with what we're doing on YouTube.
All right, so now let's give these people some. If they have a question for me about anything.
Well, I'm going to ask you some first, and then I'm going to ask that, and then I'm going to take your question.
You're going to jump ahead of the line?
I'm jumping ahead.
You go first, because maybe they got follow-up questions on what you asked me.
So, guys, anything you guys want to ask, drop it in the comments. I'm going to try and get to them. So I got some questions that I want to ask Michael. And I didn't tell him none of these. So he's getting these for the first time. I always make notes while him and I are talking in case we're going to ever do this. Question number 1, Michael. You and I had a phone call. Forget who we called. It was one of our supporters. And they asked you a question. I thought it was a great question. But what I thought was more than a great question was your great answer. And they asked you, what's it like? Essentially, they were asking, like, when you leaving the life, and what's the transition. But you had this great answer, and I want to throw this back at you. You said to me, in respect to leaving Cosa Nostra, well, you said to her on the phone, it's like losing a loved one, and you're at their funeral all the time.
That's right. Yeah, that's a pretty deep one for me. That's a tough one. No, but I could answer that. When I was broken, and again, we start with the show's name, No Excuses. I'm just telling you how I felt at that time, at that moment, and what led me to that, because that's what got me here today. The day I got the message that I was on the shelf when I was in prison, waiting trial, and it came up to my girlfriend and a 2-year-old at that time. Friends of mine dropped her off at the MCC in New York, and she came up after months of going back and forth about monies, about this, about that, and beefs, and them hammering away at me with stuff that I didn't even know, accusations that were not true, and taking all the money. I was only getting madder and madder. And another case to fight, which I just came off a case I won 9 months earlier, a 4-month trial. So again, no excuses, just going to lay it out. And I was getting madder and madder with the messages. They were sending me, I was sending them, and it came to a point in time, this is how I get put on the shelf. 2 non-members, my friends, associates at the time, one of them's father was a wise guy, Phil Mordecai. He was in my crew. I took him into my crew. He was with Jimmy Brown, along with Joe Brewster. Boy, I took some old timers into my crew. Nostalgic, all right? Coming up on the visit, she spoke to Noel, Philly's son, who's a very dear friend of mine, very, very close. And she says, Noel wanted me to tell you that his father says he's upset. He don't understand it in so many words. He feels terrible about it. I said, what? He says, something about a shelf. I said, shelf? What do you mean? Say that again? He said, something where they put you on the shelf. I sat there for a couple of minutes. I told her, get up, go home with the baby. She was really upset. What do you mean? Kid was screaming, crying. Go home. Told the guard, bring me back to my unit where I was. I sat on that couch, that cot there. I cried like a baby. My hands in my face. Laid down and went to sleep. The visitor came over. A friend of mine comes over from another family. He goes, Michael, what's the matter? I said, you believe these guys broke me? He said, what? He says, fuck them. I said, really, fuck them. They broke me. They threw me out. At that moment, and into the next several months, because I decided to flip at that point. That was that decision that I regretted. When I'm sitting in that cell, in solitary, for 6 months, I had moments of deep depression, self-loathing. I didn't like myself. Besides losing weight and getting scurvy and the treatment over there, I could have got mad at the BOP at that time, right? I had this other heavy weight on my mind that I knew I could never be me again. I knew I couldn't go back to my neighborhood again. I knew everything I did in that life, my whole life as a kid, first gang, every reputation that I built up was gone. They broke me. I reacted. It was a stimulus, Pavlovian, I guess, stimulus response, right? So, how I viewed it, I couldn't get over. When I'm sitting in that hole, I couldn't get over. I couldn't get past it. And I wrote a letter to a friend of mine. I said, I'm writing you, and I started crying again. My heart was broke. You know what it was broke for? Me. It was like me going to a wake. Picture you love somebody so much in your life. Parent, sibling, wife, spouse, whatever. And you're at the wake. And you have that deep mourning at that wake. I lived that every day, every minute, because I mourned a guy that can't exist anymore. I mourned the lifetime that I built up, my family built up, because I decided to flip. I made a mistake at that time. But that's what I couldn't get over. I'm at that wake. I was at that wake every minute of every day. I couldn't leave the coffin. That's the feeling, the gut-wrenching feeling that, what did you do? That I couldn't fix that. You can't wake up somebody that's dead. I couldn't bring back the other Michael. I couldn't revive the Michael that was in the street for all that time. I knew the impact I was going to have on people's lives. Not only going to jail, just the devastation of people I was going to disappoint. All the old timers, the grocery store guy, and everybody else that I was close with in that life. All the people I know, my family, my ex-wife, my son. It was a heavy weight that I put on me. It's not an excuse. It's a heavy weight I put on me. I'm just telling you my feelings. The weight never ended. So if put it in that perspective, there's no sympathy here. This is not, I'm just trying to explain the feeling of when you change something that's so life changing. You're changing. You're going to something totally different. And that's what hurt me personally. And people say, when they look at this, some people may say, good for you. You should suffer every day. That's their right. But I'm going to explain things that have never been explained before in certain contexts on Patreon. These are the stories that I'm going to tell about other families, how they dealt with it. How I had to walk, John Jr. and I, he left me out when he says he took Patrick Borriello for a walk the night his father was killed. John and I walked Patrick around the corner. All three of us crying. You relive those moments. I was sickened for those kids that the man died in his driveway. Couldn't kill him somewhere else? If you're going to kill him, you got to kill him in his driveway. Disgusting. There's many ways you could have got at Bobby. But these are the things that we're going to talk about. And I'll get into Bobby's death also down the road. But those things that people understand, it was nice. They had a New York Post, dead fella. And nice. Pretty catchy whoever wrote that up, right? Dead fella. Nice. He has his body in the street. He's a human being with family. His kids were so impacted. His wife was so impacted. Everybody's daughter, Stephanie. I had to watch them. John Jr. had me and my wife and his family, his friends, take care of Susan and the kids at that time. It was horrifying to deal with that. So these are the stories that are out there. When you see a Hollywood movie or you read a page, this guy got clipped and that guy got. Maybe that guy deserved it, but there's other people in the background that are going to suffer. And that funeral, for those people, a lot of them, they never leave the casket either. They carry the death. Those two boys, Patrick and little Bobby, they carry the death of their father. Never going to forget that. So there's an impact there. And that's what I want to bring out. When people kid around, this guy got clipped, that guy got, it's not fun. It's part of that life. I was part of that life, and I was ordered to do something. I would have done it. But I want to give the backtrack because I could once say it because I seen how it destroyed my mother, my two nieces, and his wife. It's not a joke. Murder. So these are the stories I'll tell down the road, and that's why we're on Patreon, because I feel more comfortable saying it on Patreon to the people that really care, not a troll that's going to come after me for everything I just said and make fun of it and whatever they want to say, disparaging remarks. We'll leave that for, they can go on another channel and do that if they want. But I want this to be serious, funny, and enlightening. Now you ruined the whole mood of the show. We're all in a good mood here, RJ.
No, this is good. This is good stuff. I just want to kind of follow up on that just with one more thing. So when you say it's like losing a loved one and you're at their funeral all the time, when does the funeral end though? Because it has to end. I mean, we get one life. At the end, it's the end. And I always try to tell people at some point, you gotta lick your wounds and you gotta move on because you can't change. The only thing we have is tomorrow. You don't have no other option. But at what point do we leave the funeral and say, I got to move on with my life?
I have the answer. It's when you see that you're at the casket and you want to get up and all your family members and your loved ones are waiting for you. You're making them miserable by staying at that casket. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. We got to go. We got to go. And your family's waiting for you. And when you're impacting them with your misery that you put on yourself and they stuck by you, that's when it's time to walk away. And you'll never walk away 100%. I smile a lot. I'm always smiling my whole life. But there's always going to be pain in there. My brother's death and other guys' death and me cooperate. All in the same plane. My parents' deaths. So you carry that burden inside you, but to answer your question again, you need to walk away for others. You can't make them miserable with your misery. Can you? You got to reward them. Even if you keep it inside and you suffer, it's okay. Make them happy that they stuck by you. That helped a lot. And having good, again, with this channel and everybody coming in, just about everybody in the neighborhood coming in and for great support. And, certain guys have told me that, Michael, there's always been the whisper. Should never happen to you. They were wrong. Again, you think that would make it right for me? It's great to hear, but still doesn't take away what I did, But it's nice to hear that there's people who said that there was that chatter, but who could raise the flag for a guy who ratted in the neighborhood? So you got to keep that within small circles, and that's what I was told by many different people since I've been home. So that's part of the reward also of feeling good about yourself.
I find that, at least with people I've come in contact with, pain or heartbreak, it does two different things to a person. One of two different things. For some people, they become angry and mad and bitter. The pain that they've gone through in life, it desensitizes them because they've seen so much. Or pain makes, when you feel it, it makes you more sensitive and caring because you know what it feels like. So when you see someone else going through something, you say to yourself, wow, I've been there. I know what that person's going through. Mm-hmm. When you lost your brother, we have a great short that when you say, I saw Bobby Borriello body get put into the casket. I watched Frankie DeChico die. I had to go to the morgue to see my brother dead. I seen the bad things in that life. You've seen friends, you've lost a lot. You've seen a lot of pain. What do you think it did to you? You think it made you a harder person or a softer person?
That's a great question again. Where'd you find these questions? No, but what it did was, remember I talked about in the first Patreon show about Frank DeChico? Stop volunteering and volunteering beyond murders, right? Stop volunteering for that stuff. It was like I said before, it was a movie. It was something you don't see the impact because you're not directly involved of the impact and the devastation when somebody gets murdered on your side. It's a bell you can never unring, is death. It's something you can't forgive the person for because they're dead. So the reality came to my doorstep when my brother was murdered. And again, I could have been very bitter. I could have said, they killed my brother. I'm going to be a hard-nosed guy when it gets out. Kill my brother? Okay. All right. I'm going to get callous. I'm going to say, this is life. I'm going to deal everybody the same hand when I get in power or if I get mad at somebody or whatever the case may be, that I have a shot to kill somebody or have somebody killed. What it did to me was make that volunteering to kill people because they said something wrong or me initiating something on somebody to get them killed. Unless it was that egregious, then it's a different story. Thank God I really never ran into that personally where I needed to kill somebody. I know people are going to say, your brother, that's sort of a Cosa Nostra thing. And that's a whole other story that I'm going to tell. Not on the show. We'll save that one. But I talked about that already anyway, but I'll get more into depth on that. So when my brother dies, I see the devastation. And it made me more compassionate in my thoughts and the way I dealt with things on taking a life. Don't forget, most of the times, the people that you involved in killing is the people you know. So the people you know, at one time, you're in a wedding with their families, maybe a birthday party, maybe they're even closer to you. Maybe they're like gumbadas with you. Maybe you hung out with them every day in the same club and you frequent, you're at weddings together. Like I said, parties and all this other stuff, and everybody's kissing each other. And, it came to a point to say, life is too precious. And this is one thing I talked to Junior about later on when after Sammy flipped and Junior and I were helping running that family along with the other committee, we would have these talks. Life is too precious to take it away. Let's not be so hard on taking life. And he agreed. He agreed. With us, some of the things that we agreed on early on in our relationship was it's too permanent. If somebody was robbing from the family, they like money, let's take their money away. Let's take them out of it, what they're doing. If you keep defying the administration or whoever's in place, you just committed suicide. Once you're warned several times to stop doing something. So, that's on them. They're big boys at that point. But they go out the first act, like my brother, that was terrible. For his family and for me and for Cosa Nostra. How many guys got killed for dealing drugs? How many guys dealt drugs and nothing ever happened? Not that I want the parody, not that I want tit for tat, but the hypocrisy is there. And that's what hurts also, is my brother, for this little bullshit rumor, which is, like I said, I get into that, for dealing drugs, lost his life and lost his family lost him. For people he was hung out with every day is despicable. There's other reasons, I'll explain it, but still not enough to kill it. So when other people, you got like Joe Gallo's son got caught for dealing heroin. They kill him? They killed the father? Nope. Patsy Conte, all these other guys that dealt drugs their whole lives. They're bringing $800,000, $1 million a year just as a gift. Did they kill him? No. So there's the hypocrisy. Then and that's what hurts, because they're not there to preserve a position or an ideology. They're there to say, here's the example. Do this, you'll get killed. Not caring about what's behind it, the families. So I rambled a little bit, but those are some examples of hypocrisy. And that hurts. What I'm saying, all this collectively hurts, because they pick and choose who they're going to hurt and devastate families. So that changed me, is to saying, there's major hypocrisies here. If a guy deals drugs, if I get an order to go kill him, I'm not going to be happy about it. Because there's other guys who got away with it for a long time and the bosses knew about it. Why? Because they were bringing you big money? Why? Because they were related to you, maybe? Why? Because you loved them or liked them a lot? Whatever the case may be. And you pick and choose to set examples. Let's throw a guy in the street, wake everybody up. Throw a guy in the street means let's kill somebody and wake up the family that they know we're still here. We're still violent and we'll still take your life. But it only applied for some. And those are the things that hurt in that life about murder. And I learned from that from my brother. He died for a lie. And I says, I'm not going to be that guy. And throughout my whole tenure, I've never asked for a person's life. I had people, and we talked about it. I got fights as a skipper, as a captain. I got pistol whipped one time. Guy pulled the gun on me. I punched him in his face, knocked him on the floor. We won the fight, and me and my friend Tommy. We were wrestling with everybody. But the guy didn't know me. Am I supposed to say, I got that sign, wise guy, captain of the Gambino family? Guy didn't know me. We had an argument. Didn't turn out well. When he found out who I was, another guy went on the lam. He went to the wrong place. The first place he went was George Chico's club to ask who this guy was in the neighborhood. He didn't know me. He was with Sonny Saccone. I tell that little story anyway down the road. But I didn't know who the guy was. Sonny asked me to save him. Leave it alone. I said, of course I did. The guy didn't know who I was. I could have took his life in an instant. Ask if he did that to Sammy Gravano. How fast that guy beat that. Another guy, drug dealer from the neighborhood. I didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. I fought him and another guy, and then another guy got out of the car. He gave me a shellacking. Right? But I fought. He went on the lam. His uncle was Sally Scala. Messages go see, sit down with Pete. And I says, he didn't know who I was. Fight's a fight. But if he wants to fight me right now, I'll go to schoolyard and fight him. I'm looking to fight. We'll go to schoolyard. We'll take all these things off and I'll fight him. But it's a fight's a fight. Sounds silly, sounds braggadocious. But you know what? The lesson of my brother, getting back to what you said, why would I take these people's lives? Because of what I was? No, I want to be who I am. I want to be the guy. Yeah, Michael, he'll fucking fight you in a minute. But if you know who he is, you may die. You want to raise your hands. And that's known. Anybody could call me a punk or whatever. They can say whatever they want. I know who I am. And there's the people that know me know who I am. That's how much I believe in life. A guy hit me with a pistol after he was pulling out. I punched him in the face. And that was it.
Is having a heart dangerous in that life?
No, you need one. Oh my God. You need a heart and you need a big conscience. The guys with no heart, no conscience. We know who they are. Roy DeMeos and other people out there. I'm going to mention other names because I'll wait for the show to come out and then I'll let you know. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are heartless. No matter how much you think they had a heart, the way they present themselves, and it's pretty nice. You have to have a heart. You have to have a conscience. You have to have a lot of loyalty, and you have to believe in that life for its purity, because it's easy. It's easy to take life in that life. I'm not going to get into it. I almost slipped. But I have a philosophy on being a tough guy and not a tough guy, and I'll explain that, and I'll give the people involved down the road. That'll be a good one. And I think we'll get a big feedback on that. But to save a life is a lot harder than to take a life in that life.
Well, that's a good answer. Well, you really flipped that one. Huh. Some people say you hear it sometimes from, I won't say Cosa Nostra in general, but it's just street people. They'll usually say it can be dangerous to care, to love, and people take advantage of it. People take advantage of it.
Well, that weakness, it could show weakness, but you know what? When you're in a position of power, people may challenge you on that, and then again, that's on their own. They're on their own with that. If they're going to think you're not able, anybody in that life is able at any time to kill. So, and that's what overthrows governments, right? And specifically our government, when they think there's a weak boss or somebody at the top for history, they go for it. And those are those crews that put together and they start wars and families, and that's the history of that life. But you need to be compassionate in any aspect. You need to be forgiving. You ever see the movie Gladiator?
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie, right?
Yeah, great movie.
See when he could have killed that big guy, and he had all the people in the stands and up and down. And he defied the king, the emperor. He defied the emperor, right? What did he do? He made all those people who went there to see death, right? He gave life for somebody who was trying to kill him. So they fell in love with him for that, because that's the way this guy was built. He didn't have to prove he could kill him. That was easy for him at that point to kill. So he just was defiant and not killing. So those are the characteristics of a great leader, is to when to know to kill and not kill in that life. And you have to be compassionate. Otherwise, you'll get killed. We talk about another show. Once you're afraid of something, you know what I mean? If you keep being afraid of something, then you may go. You can't have everybody afraid of you, like Albert Anastasia. So.
Good point. I guess I sometimes wonder in that life if a big envelope will take you further than a big heart. You know, if you're turning in a big envelope, would I keep you alive more than?
It turns a blind eye.
Yeah.
I think that envelope, I got to talk about all the drugs. But look, drugs, it's been a part of that life forever. And when they change these rules and they pick and choose and they killed, all the administrations, they knew at the time who was doing what. There would be nobody left. There would be maybe 10 guys out of a family that weren't dealing drugs at one time. Everybody at one time dealt drugs. One way, one form of take money. Dealing drugs is also taking money from a drug dealer just for protection. You know that. To me, I classify it as being a drug dealer. You're affording protection from other families from shaking down that guy dealing pot on the corner. So you're in the drug business. You're in the protection business, selling drugs. You're in the drug business. That's my definition. Maybe guys didn't feel that way. That's up to them. That's their opinion. They're entitled to it. But in one form or another, drugs were prevalent. Going back to the opium dens years ago, how did the opium get the dens? Partnered up with Harlem, the Harlem guys, black guys over there, black gangsters, Frank Lucas, Bumpy Johnson, et al. So it's always been there. So the hypocrisy is what gets me. You know what I would have done if that's the case? Just make it. You get caught, you're on your own. They're going to do it anyway. So are you going to give a guy an excuse to kill somebody? The heat's there. The FBI's arresting you no matter what. Well, those days of the hiding and the not knowing, the counterfeit money and stocks and bonds, guys became super millionaires in the day from stocks and bonds, robbing the stock market. And I'm not talking about the 80s. I'm talking way before that. Bearer bonds and all that other stuff. Guys became huge millionaires for that time. $1 million in the 60s is probably 20 million today. I don't know the ratio, but I would guess. So a lot of guys made that money. Did they die? No, they brought it an end. They brought that envelope.
Question I always wanted to kind of, when you're associate level, made guy, wise guy, or soldier, whatever, you're right at the front line of the work. And you get into, a captain, you're overseeing a whole group of guys every day. They have to go earn and bring in and kick up to the family. And the underboss has to talk to all these captains, communicate back, and filter information down. And you see a lot of those positions, people, they get busted, they go to jail, but a really safe position to be in is the consigliere role. And I never thought about it until you and I were talking recently, and you said, you don't see a lot of consiglieres get taken down. They just be long life. They're not involved in nothing. They don't get sent out on a hit. They don't gotta, So if I just look at the whole thing, it will look like if you never, and you told me one day, I'll never forget this. I keep it in my head a lot. When we first decided to start doing this podcast, you said, we don't have to be number one. You said, RJ, don't never forget, being number 3 is a great place to be. You told me that.
Yeah.
You said, you don't got to deal with all the pressure of the top, but you're not all the way down at the bottom. Looking back, you were offered the concierge job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What do you, if you could make that decision, I mean, do you reflect on it differently? Put yourself back in that moment. Looking back, was that a bad decision?
Yeah. It's historic, life changing for me, and probably for the Gambino family at that time. Yeah, the reason why I didn't want it was Junior was in prison. He was being left out of the administration at that point. And Pete was going to be the boss, his uncle. And Arnold, who was a really stand-up guy. I mean, this guy die in jail. You give him 2,000 years, he's going to do it. But he was a heroin dealer. Tough guy. Really close with John. But this guy was just coming home from prison. And he went in as a soldier. I wasn't happy that he was going to be the guy. What direction they take the family in? Do we get into the junk business now? Because that's all he did was deal junk. And when he was younger. And Pete, do I really want to be sitting down with Pete? Again, the poor guy's dead. Pete knew he didn't have the qualifications to be the boss. And do I deal with these two guys in this position with the way I thought about the life and the way I wanted to take the direction, if I had any impact at all to the family? Because I had some ideas on how to change some things. But it was unknown about Arnold's position. And I know Pete was a headache dealing with him with certain beefs and selling out the family, selling us out with beefs, and really bad. His son got stabbed, that he took money instead of killing the guy. They knew it was his son. I just couldn't deal with when he told me that. I was stunned because he went to go see his brother in John Sr. in Springfield. He was at the hospital, and he came back. He gave me that message, saying, "My brother wants you to be conseiller, wants you to be in administration." And I says, "Well, who's going to be in there?" He said, "I'm going to be the boss. Arnold's going to be underboss for me." Oh yeah. I said, "Nah, no thanks." Why? He's going to be annoyed with you. I said, "Just tell him we're going to play a little Machiavelli. You make believe in the street you don't like me, and I'll make believe I don't like you a little bit." And then we compared notes, because we always had a little problems within the family, other families. So we played a little game. That was just my excuse not to take the position. And he wasn't happy because he had to go bring the message back. Whether he brought it personally back or through a lawyer, I don't know. So in hindsight, yes, I should have took it. Because I maybe I would have been able to help with the direction of the family at that time. Because they did not. Credit to Arnold. He passed away also. Real man in that life. He did not get the family back in the drug business, from what I understand. Well, I could say what's proven, because there would have been many arrests if they went back in the drug business, like we talked about in the past. So he did not. And he wasn't a bad underboss, from what I understand. You know, made some mistakes with cooperators and stuff like that, but he didn't take the family in that direction. And Pete was Pete. What are you going to do with Pete? I mean, again, outside of him being the boss, he was a fun guy to be around. He wasn't a bad guy, but the position for him was no good. And that's what deterred me, was those two factors. And then there was other things. If I took that position when Junior comes home, like Umbada, I know he's going to want a position. Where's he going to go? Now, message came back later on when Richie Gotti went to go see his nephew in prison. Said, "Where do I fit in?" When he told him about the administration. I was there when that night when he came back. We had dinner, Pete, Richie, and myself, and out in Queens. And he says, "You're only a captain." That was the message they told Junior. He wasn't happy about it, according to Richie. So, he's got that seat. And then a fellow named Nicky Carrazzo, who should have been in administration. He should have been the underboss. There's these rumors about him being the boss. He was going to take over. That was never true. If that was true on Nicky's part, when he was going to usurp the administration and try to take over, that's a whole other subject I know nothing about. But there was rumors Nicky was going to be the boss. Never happened. So I don't know where they got that from. Anyway, he would have been a great underboss. Without a doubt. The guy was staunch person for our family. He would have been great on beefs with everybody else. He was really good at sit-downs. He would have been more in the mold of Neil. And I'll tell you why, which people don't talk about. I'll give you another tidbit. Everybody talks about John and Neil, right? Yeah, they were super close, and all of the factors considered, yes, that's true. There was two other guys really close to him. I'm going to put John and Neil with Angelo Ruggiero. I'm not going to leave him out of that because he was on the John Gotti side with Neil. But there was two other guys who were extremely close with Neil. It was Nicky Carrazzo and Lenny DeMaria. Extremely close. Never talked about. But Neil loved them. Had them around all the time. So Nicky was in prison. He wouldn't be coming home. How do we deal with Nicky? I know he has aspirations. Our family knew. There was rumors out there he was going to be the boss, which was, I don't know where they got it from because there wasn't nobody's head that I know of. Wasn't in Junior's head, wasn't in Pete's head, wasn't in anybody's head. But there were rumors out there. Then later on, it said he was going to kill Junior through one of Nicky's guys that flipped. So I guess I was right because that came out later on after I flipped. That came out that he was going to kill Junior. At least that's when I heard it. So if there's any validity in that, I don't know. The guy who flipped, who knows if he's telling the truth? It's his word, everybody else. It's like anything else that anybody says, we got to take it for what it's worth. But Nicky was a formidable guy, and if he wanted to see how he gave it, I don't want. I didn't want to deal with any of that. Again, what you said, I wanted to be number 3. If I was just a captain, I'm very happy, and I was very happy just as a captain. You call me in. What you want, I handle it, and I go about my business. Spend money. Gamble.
It's funny you just said that. Me and you and some of your friends, we were just sitting around bullshitting. I say bullshitting, black guy. You say breaking balls. We were sitting around smoking a cigar, bullshitting, and you said, hilarious, we're all talking. You said, I became what I wanted to be. How many people can say that they became what they wanted to be in life? You said, since I was 7 years old, I wanted to be the captain in the Gambino family. I did it.
That's right. I got my accomplishment in life. So, it's, in hindsight, again, I should have took it.
Is there honor among thieves?
Yeah, not all the time. Look, when we make statements like this, right? There's always something that goes wrong. Always something that nothing's 100% pure. The only thing 100% pure is debt. The taxes. Who pays taxes? You can skip taxes until you get caught, but you don't have to pay taxes either. Still, you get caught. The only thing that's permanent and is absolute and 100% is debt. Now, when you talk about what you just said, honor. Yeah, there's honor. There's a lot of honorable guys. Many throughout history. In any form, in any way, but that are criminals. Not just Cosa Nostra. In any crime. There's plenty of guys who go out there and rob banks together. Stood up for each other. There's honor. Did they rob each other's money bag? When they're on the side. Some guys took money out of the bag when the bag was in the other room. And some guys didn't. So is there honor among things? Of course there is. You have to have certain bonds. Is there dishonor in that manner? Absolutely. It's like anything else. You get married, right? Honor your wife. Isn't that one of the things you say? You must honor, cherish, and all this other nonsense, right? How many times is it broken? There's a 60-something% divorce rate in this country. Is it normal to be married or abnormal to be married? I'll let everybody else answer that out there. All right, you had enough time to think. If you go by numbers, it's abnormal to be married if you just take statistics, because more people get divorced than stay married. Now, people are going to contradict that. No, it is normal, monogamy and all that stuff. But does it play out in the real world? No, that's why it's divorce. So it's the same thing with criminals. Is there honor? Yeah, guys go to electric chair in the past. Guys get life sentences. Yeah, that's honor for themselves within that life. Absolutely. They're not flipping. It's the dishonor guys that flip. Guys that rob each other. Guys that lie and get other guys killed. Guys make up, oh, that guy's going to be a rat. Next thing you know, the guy gets killed because he's got more power. He's got an agenda. You'll see it. You'll see it. I'll bring it up a little bit. No, there's both sides like anything else. Nothing is absolute. I confused you?
No,
Okay.
no. Some people would say no because of their positioning in life. You know, our vantage point, we see things from our angle. Come from a different side of society, it makes no sense. How two thieves, I understand it because I've seen it. I come from seeing criminality every day, and I saw honor among them. Like I said before, the neighborhood prostitute in my neighborhood, one of the biggest ones, come over after she made her money on the corner. I loved her. She'd say, I'm 8-10 years old. We have no food in the house, nothing to eat. We're living tough. She bring over, hey, here's $20. Go get some iced tea and some ice cream and order a pizza. I've seen, activity among what the world looks like as low society. That, to be honest with you, I'll put it this way. I told you, I come out of the trash can, out of the gutter. And now, I have a whole different life. I do what I want, and I'm among a different class of people. I see more shitty, dishonorable, disrespectful people traveling the country on business. In my master, when I was in graduate school, you're around all these high academics. I did business all over the country with people that own, rich people that own businesses, and people who you would think don't have no reason to be this way. I've seen more scumminess among human to human contact, two people. I've seen more scumbags as you go up the chain than I did when I was, living in deep poverty as a kid. Personally, I saw some real scoundrels also. I'm not trying to say it's this noble thing, because there's a lot of people you don't want nothing to do with, just some low class, low quality people. But no, I definitely, you don't throw me off. I 100% believe that there's honor among thieves. I'm just asking for the audience.
That's called human beings. We're all humans, and humans are built with faults and flaws, greed, ego, envy. And these are the things that really aren't controlled, because when somebody could take advantage, let's put the mob on the side. It's a society. Happens all the time. The business world, as we know, dog eat dog world. Where'd that come from? Didn't come from the mob. Come from human beings screwing other human beings. Where's the handshake today? What happened to the handshake deal? Give somebody your hand today, they may take from the wrist up because you got a nice ring on. They take the hand, the ring, the watch, everything with it. No, it's human beings are a really dangerous species. A cat, a dog, anything in the wild, they're pretty loyal to each other as a group. Not too much cannibalism. Human beings, without cannibalism, without taking out the actual act of cannibalism, it's almost they do that. It's like a ghoul. They'll pick through your body. Business-wise, I'm talking about, metaphorically speaking. They'll pick through your body. And and then you get a segment of it. Again, no broad brush. I'm not paying with this. Then you get a lot of honorable people, and that's where the term comes. I give you another term for the honorable people. A lot of times, no good deed goes unpunished.
There you go.
So why you have lawyers? Lawyers are liars for hire. I almost said that one day to a lawyer in court, and I wouldn't have got it received for the judge pretty well if I said that though. But it's everything is about in business. It's the next rung up. Another one. As you're going up the ladder, you got to come down the ladder maybe one day. These are the lessons that people have taught. These little anecdotal, little sayings that try to keep you in line as human beings, that people have learned or got burnt from in life. There's a saying, let me see if I get it right. Mangias troppo assai s'affuga. I think that's, my Sicilian friends will correct me if I'm wrong. That means you eat too much, you choke. And the first time I heard a lot, the first time was my grandfather as a kid. As an old man, when he was broke, he would see all these other guys just eating and eating and getting fatter and fatter. And not this way, physically, in their pockets. And leaving the other guys out there like dogs to go fend for themselves. Eat too much, you choke.
Do you ever hear that quote that the fattest pig is the first to get pushed into the slaughterhouse?
No, that's a good one though. That's a good one. Never heard that.
Yeah, it's there's we talk about all kinds of things on the phone, and I always wanted to kind of ask you this. I bring up guys all the time. There's 3 guys, we'll talk about 2 for the purpose of this show, but whenever I say their names, it's just a different side of the way you speak about them. Nicky Scarfo and Gaspar Picasso seem to be especially offensive to you as far as Cosa Nostra. Whatever Cosa Nostra means to you in your heart, they must be offensive to it in some way.
Well, taking all that I said about my brother with his death and the way people acted when they took advantage of killing people to get things for themselves. In Nicky Scarfo's case, they came from by the time he came to the ranks and became a boss, he's seen a lot of death with bosses, right? Angelo Bruno, Testa, and the rest of the guys with that little war they had and what was going on. You think a guy like that with one family in one little place, where all those younger guys, all the guys he grew up with, knew each other since maybe the playpen, some of them. As far as I know, I don't really know the Philly guys, but from what I read in the past and from what I heard in the street, when Sammy Guevara was dealing with them and Louis Molito when they kidnapped the guy, Johnny Keys, and they're how impressed they were with Nicky and the way he was running the field. But he started killing all his own guys. He had his kids that knew each other, that growing up, he made them all devious. He was killing guys that he was friendly with his whole life because he got paranoid. Who knows what happened with this guy? Guy was the devil. There was no quarter with him. His thing was kill him. And I didn't have to hear him say it. The bodies are there to prove it. Now, how could you show up, right? If you're with him, around him, if you made little infraction or you had a little bit too much money that maybe he thought he needed more of your money, then it may kill you and take it. He promised Testa he would watch over his son, who he knew since he was born, Nicky. You kill him? What's the reason? There's a silly reason. One, he didn't marry somebody's daughter. He was supposed to marry somebody's daughter. Well, he was getting too powerful. What? If those were the issues, you pull him in, you talk to him. No, he's captain, break him, put him on, make him a soldier, put him in somebody else's crew. You kill a kid that you promised the father, you would watch over him. That's how you. What do you do? Kill him to send him to his father. That's how you watch him. These are the things that turn my stomach. The kid did nothing wrong, as far as I know. Again, I don't know about him, Salvi Testa, but from what I did hear about other things, he was a pretty good guy, young guy. So that's Nicky Scarfo's an animal, and look what he did with his son. Put his son in life. This is with the kid got 40 years, 30 years, or something like that. He ruined this kid's life too. And I think another kid may have killed himself. If I'm not correct, he did. So look what the damage this guy did. So, and I didn't read what's his name, Leonetti's book.
Great book.
You hear the stories that come out, and you hear some of the things. If half of them are true, you blame the guy for flipping. He would have been next. He could have been next for no reason. The whole thing is no reason. Look, there's always a reason. In that life, in any part of life, in anything, you work at a corporation, you get fired. There's always a reason. But is it the right reason? Is it the right reason in that life that guys get killed? No, most of them are fabricated. Self-serving people behind with no conscience. That's why when you said you have a heart, you need a heart. Yeah, you need a heart and a conscience, because that's why you get a bad boss, death all over. Well, let's go with the gas pipe and Vic. In my opinion, I don't think Vic would have killed most of those guys. And I didn't know Vic. I met him on the corners, hello, goodbye. As a kid, I knew him from hanging around 19th Hole because I used to stay right there. He was always respectful, and so was Gas at the time. When he came up in power, who knows if he's shoveling shit up his nose. I don't know. You hear these rumors. Maybe he was a cokehead at one time and got out of order. Whatever it was, I don't think Vic kills all the people he killed. One of the most despicable things was, like I told about Salvi Testa, when he kills Testa, his brother's in jail doing life, and you killed the brother to make the rest of your family, the Casey family, get mad at us. You blame us that we killed him. You sacrificed that guy's life for what? Because he's good looking and he's got some money. You maybe were jealous of him. You sacrificed that guy for what? Along with everybody else. These are the people, and I know the Testas. Anthony Senta, I know them. I wasn't very friendly with them. We had to meet at their house. I didn't go out with their wives with him for dinner with my wife or my girl. But never that. As a respect in the street, these guys were gentlemen to me and what I seen with everybody else. Now, you sacrifice that guy's life because you're evil. And I know guys that like him. There's a couple of guys that like him may get mad at me right now. But they got to understand my point of view, because I understand that he had helped them, these other guys I know, in life. And they're allowed to like him. Well, you asked me about me. This guy was evil, pure evil. He took too many lives for no reason at all. That's why. It's not about taking lives. It's about what it was meant to be. A brotherhood, a vehicle.
Wow. I found a old video of you.
Uh-oh.
You want to see it?
How old?
You're 36 in this video.
I gotta get a new face. Go ahead.
I'm gonna pop it up on the screen. Look, it's 100% you.
You me good.
That's just, Mike, you look a little dark. You need a little light there. You can turn up a light a little bit.
Hold on. I'm hiding from the kids.
Nice.
Crazy.
I hear him. Gotta get that kid in a headlock.
A little better?
Yeah, a little better. Yes.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah. Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's all right.
You knew you were coming on there? Did you just ambush me?
I texted him. I don't think.
Very nice.
You guys having a good discussion. I'm enjoying it.
How long you been on?
I was in the beginning, and then I had to put them in the shower when I just came back to the Salvi Testa, all that story. So I kind of missed the point you were getting at.
Yeah,
But
yeah, watch it on rewind like everybody else now.
yeah,
We're not going to give you any. We're not going to go back and do it.
yeah.
Hey, Mikey, I'm curious to ask you. I know you were kind of born into this world that we all talk about on here. Did you? And I think like more recently, I think I talked to you and you said you find yourself now becoming more interested in like learning the history and reading about it and learning more stuff about it. Where'd that come from? Where all of a sudden you're kind of you want to?
Well, kind of been blocking it out for the last 20 years, to be honest with you. Since he did what he did, I kind of just blocked it out. I just put it to the side. And what was it? Been a year and a half now. Everybody started popping up on YouTube. You see Sammy pop up, Jimmy Calandra pop up, and then you start hearing your family members' names, people you knew, friends, and I guess that grabbed my interest because a lot of it I never knew. I was too young at the time to ask questions, and I guess now's the time to start asking questions. So I guess that's what brought me in, and getting close with my father again. These past 10 years or so, and I don't know. I just felt it was time to just figure some things out, ask some questions.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things I couldn't ask him years ago. He never spoke to me about anything when I was younger. Zero. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. But now that I'm older, I feel like he could be honest with me. And I know he'll be honest with me. So that's why I'm here.
Do you feel like you're a part of like a rich piece of history to a certain extent? Like, how do you look at it from inside yourself? Do you see it as, man, this is this history that goes back hundreds of years before, before,
Right.
or like, how do you kind of?
Well, I guess it's cool to be part of something, right? Something that long, history-wise. But look how we ended up. I'm sitting here now on camera. He's sitting in that chair. Not the best outcome. I guess it's interesting to a point. If I had a chance, would I have had it differently? Yeah.
Yeah.
But sitting here now, 20 years later, it digested everything that happened. It's interesting.
Do you understand like why people have an interest, or is it to you like, why do people? This
No.
doesn't.
I understand because I'm interested in certain things. Like I said, crime will always be interesting. People love cowboys, outlaws. Tony Montana shooting things up. That's just the way of life. People are interested in things that I feel they would never do in their life. So they live through it by listening and watching and stuff like that. That's just my take on it.
Vicariously.
Vicariously, good word. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where it comes from, because you could watch it, you could hear about it, but you pull yourself out of it. When you're in it and you see people getting killed and you see people going to jail and you see people ratting and this and that, it's not that fun. It's not something you want to be a part of. When it's good, it's good. But when it gets to that, that's not the good part. But ultimately, it goes there.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. This for me has always been just this. I'm more, the interest for me always came more from and I still don't have the answer. How does a group come over, bad education system, don't speak the best of English, hated by the whole country, but still take over it? That's interesting to me. That I'm always looking for the answer to that.
Drive, right? They had a lot of drive. For whatever reason, it was from over there. They came here with it. Oppression, I guess, or whatever the case may be. They came here. They wanted a new start, a new life. They obviously were intelligent people. You have to be somewhat intelligent to accomplish what they accomplished. You see a lot of these lawyers on TV and all these guys, Giuliani. They'll talk about, how dumb these guys were. Because you'll hear certain people say, wow, if this guy didn't get into criminal life, he could have been the CEO of a company. And I seen Giuliani try to counter that point one day. Yeah, I don't know about that, he said. What's there not to know? These guys, they have multi-million-dollar businesses with a fifth-grade education, regardless of how they did it. They did it. They didn't go to school. They earned it a different way. So I don't know how you could tell someone's not intelligent by that. You have to have some intelligence to make it there. So they were smart people, and they had drive, and they came in, they did what they did. And like you said, they were oppressed here. You talked the other day, right? They went from oppressed over there to being oppressed over here, and they still made it. So it says a lot about them. Some people won't give them the credit because they're criminals. I guess I could understand that. But what's right is right. You have to admit when somebody's smart or not smart or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I don't think. Do you think we'll ever see anything like this again from an underworld group? I mean, I remember when I was reading about when how El Chapo broke out of prison with tunnels underneath the ground going into his cell. I said, "What the hell? How?" It was just such a real sophisticated thing. The Cosa Nostra has sophistication. When Meyer Lansky said we're bigger than U.S. Steel, he wasn't joking. They were in the biggest of industry in the country. They weren't just snatching purses and doing what the Black Hand was doing, just firebombing businesses and saying put 500 on your porch with the milkman's money in the morning or else. No, they got into sophisticated business.
Yeah, look what the government did during World War II. They went to Meyer Lansky for help.
Yeah.
They went to Luciano for help. The guy was an insane drug dealer, heroin dealer.
Yeah.
They went to him for help. What is that? That speaks on its own. What kind of people they were, how smart they were.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up helping them, right? Not
Yeah.
we, I always say we, they ended up helping them, invading Sicily. They gave them a layout of the island or wherever it is they did. And so when people say opposite, they should look at history that way. Does that make the government criminal for working with criminals? I mean, there's a lot to be said there, right?
There's a point.
A lot to be said there. A lot to dive into. So, good one time, but not good the other time. We need help right now, but we're going to lock you up afterwards.
Yeah. The enemy of your enemy is my friend.
Yeah. True.
I said this before. A lot of the legalized big businesses, as far as interest of the flesh, the mob was the first one to put the lottery, alcohol, a lot of the nightclubs, speakeasies, and carpet joints, and they put a lot of business, casinos, and things. A lot of that stuff. I mean, before the casino was legitimate, it was illegitimate, and some establishment no one on the neighborhood knew about. They made it elegant. They were in there serving wine and bringing in people and singing stuff, and a lot of the underworld businesses became
mainstream,
legalized and taxed.
Now you go back in time, my grandfather's time in the 20s and the teens, they were bringing in singers. They had a radio station, which I think is still around today. It's called WOV Radio in New York. And just the way they branched out, they brought singers in, Italian singers, to come into New York, perform, and put them on the radio. My grandfather had a piece of that station, along with the mob. So it wasn't just drugs and booze and alcohol. It was cheese business. It was radio stations. It was owning the yeast company to supplying the yeast to make beer and etc. They were, like you said, Michael, they were very, very enterprising and smart. And we talked about this with the mob archaeologist, is the means, how they got there, is they came here and everything fell into place with them, with their network. They were able to network. Now you talk about other groups besides the Italian. You got the IRA, they're still in existence. They're an underbelly, right? You have other groups. You had, like you said, the Colombians, and you had the Mexican cartels. They're still going through some things in other countries. They're still successful. Colombia, that network didn't shut down. They're just a little different level of the Italians, but the model is there for an underbelly in the government. And I'm sure some other posters, if they can, tell us about other groups in other countries all over the world. We'd be interested to hear that. And maybe one day we'll talk about them. But there is always some. It's just that the Italians in this group have been around for hundreds of years. Let's go hundreds of years, right? Easily hundreds of years since the 1700s. So they still exist. And I think that's your point, RJ, is that the network's still here. They can only hurt themselves. You can only hurt yourself from within. And we had that conversation about something before. So they've managed to take that ladder every time somebody fell off the top and put somebody else there. The guys at Scarfo and Gas Pipe, they degrade it. They take a lot of lives. They kill a lot of business guys. DB's one of them, whether he's in the porn business or Great Bear, mechanic shop, or whatever it was. These guys were enterprising guys. So besides their mafia affiliation, they did other things. So when you start killing the guys that are really important for the economics of their life, you start to degrade it. So, but there's always that next step. It's the next person that's got to come in. It's like Democrat, Republican. You know, I'm not bringing politics into this. It's just that there's a different ideology, and you hope you get the right one up there at that time to fix it again. Because there's one factor at a time that destroys it. You know, takes the country in a different direction. So with the same thing with the mob, if you have the wrong people there for 5 years or 10 years, it can destroy it. But then you get the right people there, and it has the ability to come back because of the layer system. Because people that really believe and don't treat it as just a criminal organization, as an enterprise.
Well, it certainly changed from what it used to be. When you talk about guys like Gas Pipe and Scarpa and those type of guys.
Oh, yeah. It's a good thing they're out of the way.
Well, that's true.
After a while, they'll be looking at themselves in the mirror. I know you. I could kill you too. There's nobody left. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the danger, because people are afraid. After a while, even the toughest of guys are afraid that they make a clip for nothing because they have something.
Do you think a guy like Nicky, he's one of the real serial killers, one of the real, if you can put a face to the word sociopath, he's probably pretty close to. This guy had Phil Leonetti said, he can't kill me enough. If he could kill me, it wouldn't be enough to kill me. He couldn't bring me back, kill me again, and then bring me back and kill me again. There's not enough he can kill me. That's how much anger he has at what I did. I believe that. I think that's the kind of. Do you think a guy like that would have ever rose or survived as long as he did if he was in New York? Any of the 5 families?
No, even in Philly. Forget about him coming to New York. Well, Gas Pipe did. Gas Pipe, if you don't get
Gas had a very short. He had a. I guess.
Gas Pipe got convicted in 86, 86.
Yeah, 86.
85. Yeah, figured they were convicted somewhere 85, 86. Well, he had a run. He was on they caught him on 92. I'm not sure, 92, 93.
Yeah. But what he did before 86, before he rose up, what was he doing?
Yeah, listen, he followed orders. But this deviousness came out when he had power. Just like other guys. Nicky was not that killer when he wasn't the boss. It's when he got that position is when he went nuts with the power. It was there. It's in him. But maybe these guys, just like I talked about earlier, maybe they went in to clip people. And maybe there was somebody smarter above and said, take it easy. And we'll handle this a different way. Maybe that's what happened. We don't know. Right? Maybe Gas wanted to go to Tony Ducks all the time and clip people. We don't know. Maybe Tony Ducks was level-headed enough, which he was a great boss, to talk him down and others. You need a great boss to talk other people down that are looking to take lives. So, Nicky was devil incarnate. And it's a good thing. He didn't last in the street like Gas Pipe lasted in the street. Sacrificing people for less than nothing. No conscience. That's it.
I'm curious to ask you guys from 2 different points of view. I know your answer, Michael, so I'm going to ask you yours second. I'm going to ask Mikey first. From what you've seen, Mikey, what movie is the closest to what you saw out of your eyes?
Can I use a show?
Or whatever. Any Hollywood production.
The Sopranos. The Sopranos. A lot the way he treats his son in that show reminded me of my father. One day he used the word gagoots. I've never heard that used anywhere else. he used to call me Gagoots. I heard Tony say that to his son on the show. I said, what? I forgot about the word. I said, holy shit. I can't believe it. That was pretty accurate. I'll say that show, there's a lot of bad acting in that show. A lot of bad acting that I think is very inaccurate. But the writing, that writer, I don't know if he experienced things himself or he had people talking to him. A lot was really accurate. So I would say The Sopranos. And if you want to go back further, you got to say The Godfather is probably the other one. I think.
I should call Anthony Gagoots too.
See?
What does it mean?
It's a long squash.
Watch.
Oh,
Okay.
And even my mother
And
even my mother would say it, that the way Tony was with the kids, she reminded of you with me. So, yeah. And I think they try to work you into the show a little bit, to be honest with you, with the character Eugene.
I only watched maybe 3 or 4, and I got turned off to it. I never watched it.
Yeah, you got to give it a chance. Like I said, some of the acting's terrible, but the core points of Tony's psychology and certain things like that are very, very well written. But yeah, the character Eugene, I felt they try to work you in. RJ, you know what I'm talking about?
I didn't really watch much of it at all.
You
I
didn't
don't usually like much of the. I don't really like much. I mean, I'm a deep researcher, so usually I find it cheesy.
No.
Most of the stuff I see on TV, I'm like, it's fucking bullshit. I would never have it. Like,
You're gonna enjoy it. Buckle down one day, get through the whole thing. I guarantee you.
okay,
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Typically, I don't even watch any of it anymore. But I like it's some I really like, but some stuff, I heard Denzel Washington was asked a question about he made this movie Fences, and it was all black, director, cast, everything, and he was touting that to a certain extent. And they asked him, why is this important, especially in this day and age and everything? Like, shouldn't we be more? And he said, really interesting thing. He said, it's not color, it's culture. He said, a black person knows what a hot comb smells like in the morning. Touched me, because my mom used to have one on the stove. And he brings up Scorsese. Goodfellas, Scorsese culturally could understand because where he comes from. Certain ways you might use a wooden spoon. I don't know. But I heard like Bob Evans from Paramount. It was number one. He said, I want a second generation Italian to make The Godfather. Because that movie, The Brotherhood, that came out before it was all Jewish directors and most of Hollywood was a lot of Italian films were being produced and directed and written by more Jewish people. And he thought that was the reason that those films weren't succeeding. And he said, I want a second generation. I want someone that understands certain things. And a lot of those little things that Francis Coppola put in The Godfather, this was things he did. Like he said, people always, a cheesy Jewish production film, they always have us eating meatballs and pasta. The opening scene of The Godfather, whatever, they're eating Chinese food. He said, we get takeout also.
They used to order Chinese food every Saturday in my family.
There
right?
you go. So
Every Saturday.
and he said that they always had Italians with these accents from the homeland. He said, but Italians in New York speak like New Yorkers, so he was able to put all those flavors and stuff into the film, which made it a great production. Right. So I sometimes think that, you need more, like you need the cultural understanding to be able to really make something come to life on screen.
I agree. I mean, what's a better source of information than the source itself?
Exactly.
So, I agree to that.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what you said, there was a program that came out called The Offer. It was about Bob Evans and Coppola and the making of The Godfather.
Yeah, was it good? I didn't watch it.
It was excellent.
Oh, I got to watch it then. A few people told me.
But I'll give you a tip. If I didn't tell you already, I'm not sure. Al Runny was close with Joe Budden.
Oh, really?
Close. Yeah, very close.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. You know, he came to my house when I was handling all the stuff in California, and he came to me one day. He says, "Take me with you," with his gravelly voice, out to California. He said, "I can make you meet Al Ruddy. We'll do something." I didn't know who Al Ruddy was at the time. Another mistake. I should have took him with me. I went to Georgia, his brother, Georgia Cheek. I said, "Tell him to stay away from me. I ain't taking him to California to chase everybody away."
Whoever said me, I don't want to cut you off, but Mean Streets is a great movie. Whoever just said that.
Which one?
Mean Streets, one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see it on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mean Streets is good. Again, you know, De Niro, Scorsese, he did Mean Streets, right? Scorsese?
It was his first movie, I think.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah. So Joe Butter was friendly with Al Ruddy and with the making of The Godfather, because he used to bring him messages from Joe Colombo to Ruddy. He was one of the guys that were going up there and seeing him.
Butter one day.
He's the one who told him, no, you can't say mafia in the movie. He's the one who brought the message.
Really?
Yeah, he told me. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah,
So Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, Butter one day, you know, he has that voice. He was get me by the neck, grab me. He goes, "When you get older, you're gonna be just like me. You're gonna be just like me. Do what I do." And I'm looking at him saying, "No, I'm not." This guy's he got me by the neck with that. Remember that voice? Yeah, when you're gonna do what I do. He's telling me, and I'm looking at him, shaking. No, I don't think so.
Look, he talked like he had laryngitis his whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Funny guy.
So Michael,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, guys. My favorite movie?
Well, I know the answer, and I'm gonna warn everyone. I never heard of it until you told me about it. But I watched it after you told me to watch it. But I need you to explain why, Michael, because it's not shot like a traditional mob film. It looks different. It's just different to me. It didn't feel like Goodfellas or so. When you tell your answer, what is the closest film from how your life was in the life, that if someone wanted to watch a film that explained how it was like from your eyes, what movie would you say that is?
It's Family Enforcer. It's a B movie. It's Pesci's first movie, which led him to Raging Bull. He wasn't the lead role in this movie, Family Enforcer. Frank Vincent, his first movie also.
Could have played Jackie Nose.
What's that?
Frank Vincent could have played Jackie Nose in a movie.
Yeah, he could have. Yeah, they similar, the hair, the nose. Yeah. It's a B movie. If you're gonna watch, have a little patience, because you can find it on YouTube. It's free still, but very interesting because it comes from a real associate perspective, a guy that gets caught up in that world from the street, criminal, and his aspirations, and how he views the wise guys in the street, the way he comes. I don't want to tell you too much. You really should watch it, because there's a few little lessons in there that's realistic to the life, the street life, as a young guy growing up in that life, and the mistakes that could be made that could cost you. And it was a really interesting. And I watched it maybe a month ago again. I probably watched it 30 times in my life. Really great movie.
Have you watched it as many times as Clockwork Orange or no?
Well, look, sensitive subject. Now I'm going to have RJ ask you the question. How many times?
I didn't prepare for this, so.
But you know what? I'll ask you. I don't want to put you on the spot, and I know you're going to tell me the truth, because you don't lie. And if you need to take me to task on something, you did. You have no problem. Tell me if you think I made a mistake. How many times did I watch Clockwork Orange in front of you?
0.
How many?
0.
I thought I watched it 3-4 times every week.
You weren't even home that much to watch TV. You were out too much. You didn't have time to watch TV.
So people take things out of context. Not to say somebody was wrong about it. Being young, First time I watched it, I was in college. I was taking a psychology class. And it was a Kubrick film. Kubrick's great. Full Metal Jacket. He's done a host of those critically acclaimed movies.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah. So all good stuff, if you like that. That we had to watch the movie in school. And we had to write a report. And it wasn't like 2 pages. You had to watch the movie because you had to keep watching and going back and do a report, the whole class. My professor at the time, I got a 90 because I got into the movie pretty good. And that's it. I had told your mother once when we were talking about philosophy, because your mother was a young woman at the time. She was only 19 when I met her. And we were talking. I said, you need to open up your mind a little bit. Not being critical of it. Watch a movie like Clockwork Orange. And that's it. I never watched it. I never watched it. So for some reason, somehow it comes out that I was this Clockwork Orange. It's a great movie. It's a mind-controlling movie. If you see what they could do to the human mind, it's astounding. At that time, I'm talking about that time. Today, we know what goes on. But at that time, how they conditioned the mind. Brainwashing. Control. It's going on in China right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Over 1 million people getting brainwashed. Getting politics. Excuse me, back it up. But it's going into, it goes on. It's true. How do you brainwash people? So this is something that just became, I don't know what out there. But I'm not glad you brought it up. But it was an answer that maybe needed to be answered. A question that needed to be answered, excuse me.
Yeah.
Good show, gentlemen. A long one, but it was fun.
Get back to fences.
You know what?
Coincidentally, I had asked you one night. There was nothing on TV, and I was scrolling through, and I seen Denzel. I like Denzel, and I seen it. I caught the right from the beginning, and I said, "Let me watch this a little bit." It was extremely intriguing movie. If nobody's ever seen it, they should. The way he, as a man, tried to be head of a household. Forget color right now. The culture's there in the movie, but forget color. There's a lot of lessons in that movie about people's self-worth, how they view themselves, pride, lying to themselves, and then how they live their life and justifying their life. And the people around you, Viola Davis, I think, played his wife. Am I correct?
Yeah.
She was outstanding. How's the torment that she went in for the unconditional love for her husband. It's really, and his analogy, he was a big baseball fan. He throws Jackie Robinson under the bus. He wasn't good enough. This was part of his pain and his shortcomings as a person. But all the pride this man tried to have in his heart with his family. It's a great movie. I don't want to give away any more, but everybody should watch it. It's great. Good lesson.
No, that movie was very touching movie for me. It reminded me of so much of what again, it's color, it's culture, not color.
Right.
And when it's done the right way, it puts you back in the moment. And I remember, that movie the Viola Davis character reminded me of so many people in my family. The Denzel character reminded me of so many men that I have, knew in my family that were just broken people, broken men and they're puffed up with pride to try to shield all the pain that they're in. And then they're in an attempt to find healing and make themselves better, which you usually find your escape in a bottle or in drugs or something. And, you keep making more mistakes, in your quest to feel better, you're making yourself feel worse and you're destroying your whole family around you. It's a fantastic movie. If anyone hasn't seen Fences, it's one of the, I would rank it among one of the greatest movies I've ever saw. I thought it was a fantastic movie.
Love Denzel, so I like him as and I like him as a person. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
When you watch him.
I made a big mistake. I didn't turn my commenting on. I just turned on. There's a zillion comments there.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's tons of them.
You want to see if we get somebody on before we close? Or maybe John or John O'Master if he wants.
Hey, John. Well, if John's in here,
He is there. I just see him somewhere.
Does anybody want to come in? John O'Master, you're welcome in. Does anyone want to come in? I'm going to put a link in here. We'll take a couple questions. Let me ask you. Let me just tell everybody in advance. Please be mindful that there could be other people who want to come on. Come on for a couple minutes, say something. But if you can try, please just be mindful of other people who want to join. So if I cut you off, I'm not being rude. I promise. I just put a link so feel free to come on in and I'll bring you on. So we'll see if anybody wants to come in and ask some questions. But
listen, you don't even have to brush your teeth. Just
we got a good one here. We got a good one. This guy has a fan club. We got a lot of two people are in. This first guy I'm going to bring on, Michael, he got a lot of comments. My family called me and said that guy needs his own show. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
Oh, great show, man. Great show. Fantastic show.
How you feeling?
Junior, you're terrific. Right on the money, man.
Thanks.
And Gagoots, oh, shit. Gagoots brought back memories. I'm my mother's Gagoots, and you can tell Patty that.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good. You're freezing up a little bit.
I'm sorry. It's the AT&T internet. A lot of good points tonight, man. A lot of great points. I had one question, Mike, and I know we know the reason, but most of these people don't know the difference between shelved and what becomes of that, And the reason why I was bringing that up is because, you know what? When you do nothing wrong, and they got a stone for you or a thing for you, they'll shelve you. Because if ever anything was really that wrong, you could say you go down for the dirt nap, right?
Yeah.
Is that, maybe some people don't understand, the position that you will put in, and maybe you could answer that for them. I don't know if you're willing to do that, or is that a good question? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Great question. Well, most of the people I think that run this Johnny know what a shelf is, but I'll be clear. When they put you on this shelf, it means that they're taking away whatever title you have. If you could be a captain, you're not a soldier. You don't go down a rung. You just made a non-entity. You're disenfranchised from the family. But you have no power. You can't sit down with other guys. You can't make deals. You can't do anything. You're in a position of being your hands tied, and but you're still property of the family. It doesn't mean you could go off and wander and go join a motorcycle gang. You're still property of the family. You still got a total line.
Right.
You're in a period. Shelf in old days was a gift.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you made shelf. You made coffin. So
That's right.
shelf was a gift. You can't come off the shelf, the proverbial shelf. You can't come back on and get back in good standings just to see how you behave yourself when you got your punishment. It's a punishment.
Yeah.
A lot of times, take those guys that don't go on the shelf, that they're close to put them directly with the administration. But they're 2 feet, 1 shoe, and then there's a shelf, and then there's the worst thing. But a shelf is something that you can't come off, and people do usually will come off.
Yeah.
And as far as what you alluded to, after my case in Atlanta, I was in trial for 4 months. I came home. I was out for about 9 months.
Uh-huh.
I feel there's some grievances that were really nothing at the time. I bumped heads with Goncier at the time in some positions. But if there's anything that egregious that I did, they should have handled it when I was in the street.
Exactly.
There was no grievances. There was no real grievances. When I got in there, it was a bunch of excuses. If and I'll talk about other guys that they wanted to put on the shelf when in my tenure with Junior. For that
Yeah.
10 years, there was other guys they were going to put on the shelf, and I jockeyed for guys that were going to prison not to do it. I'll give you examples, and everybody will know what I'm talking about. But I jockeyed not because I liked the guy or I loved the guy. It was because you don't send the guy to prison on the shelf. Why you want to, or break a guy that's in prison and put him on the shelf? Why you want to embarrass him that he could be abused in jail by other guys and turn their backs on him, maybe shun him? Why would you do that? So when that happened to me, after all what I did to save guys, and they knew these are the people I talked about not putting guys and taking guys off the shelf, you do it to me.
Right.
So that hurt.
Yeah. I you know what? That's not Cosa Nostra. That is not what the family was about. Not at all. Not at all. But it's good to know, like I know, RJ knows, but a lot of these people don't realize, what position that you were put in, and, for me to say, Mikey is a stand-up guy, Mikey's a man's man. These are the reasons why, he would stand up for other people and then they would turn their backs, and it's just, I'll say what Jackie told me. Mikey was born a little bit too late. He should have been there 40 years ago.
So, I never heard that before.
Yeah.
From Jack.
Yeah. You should have been born 40 years ago when everything was tight, loyal. And that's the same reason why it lasted, right?
Yeah.
Look at the Roman Empire. Roman Empire lasted thousands of years, and it was set up the same way. You can't lose. You cannot lose with that. But
thank you, John.
I miss those years, man. I miss those years bad, man. Really good years.
Camaraderie and respect for each other.
Oh,
the boss, it didn't matter. Our neighborhood, everybody was more obliging to each other, no matter what position. We grew up together. There was no always pulling.
Yes.
We knew each other.
Yeah.
Still acting silly when we needed to act silly, and we needed to say serious when we were serious.
Yeah. But we had great time. Come on, we had great times, man. Breaking balls and shit. That was the best.
That's right.
That was the best. But you knew somebody had your back. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
There's nothing I wouldn't do for you, Mike. And you know that, brother.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Junior, you're great, man. Great insight.
Thank
Great
you.
insight. And RJ, fantastic, man. Fantastic movie. All those movies I've seen. I've seen Fences, especially where the part where he tells his son, "I don't have to like you. It's my responsibility."
Yeah.
That says a lot.
There you go.
And the thing about the Italian accents and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to go to the barber, right? And this guy, Sal, used to talk with an Italian accent. And I asked him one day, I says, "How long you been in Italy?"
That's
He
right.
goes, "Oh, maybe about 50 years. I mean, America, 50 years. I says, "You're here longer than I'm alive, but you still have your accent, your Italian accent." Amazing. Great show.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. You're always welcome on, John, anytime.
Oh, thank you very much, man. Thank you, brother. I'm sorry I was a little late. I had to go to the, I'm getting old, Had to go for the MRI shit.
Well, I hope all is well.
Yeah, everything's all right. Wait, what are you going to do? You get up at the plate, take a shot, man. You just swing, right?
That's right.
Take your swing. Whatever comes your way, you just take your cut.
Just keep us abreast of what's going on.
I will.
Tell Patty hello.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah, he's on. He's somewhere on there because I told him I'm my mother's gaguts. He's probably screaming right now.
He's jealous.
Jealous. Well,
Uh,
all right, guys. I love
Take
you.
care. Yeah, take
Great
care,
show.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best. And I'm around. I'll be around.
Thank you.
You know.
man.
Appreciate
All
Always
right.
welcome you.
Take a
Yeah.
look at everything, John. Take care.
Yeah, take it easy, Junior. Great insight.
Thank you.
Great
Appreciate it.
insight. All right.
All right, we're gonna bring on. I'm gonna bring on the guy. Carmen is his name.
I just want to say to Johnny the Greek, thank you. I see your comment. I appreciate it.
Oh, how are you guys? Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Tell us how you say your last name.
My last name?
You have it up there. Is that you, Johnny? No.
No,
that's-
wrong one.
No,
It's
no,
Carmen. Carmen.
no. My last name is different. So I'm curious, Michael, which part of Sicily did you come from? Where your families come from?
Yeah, my grandmother was from Messina. She's Messinese. And my grandfather was from Busachino, which is provincial de Palermo.
So
More towards the mountains near Corleone, close to Corleone.
yes, and you're like there's a couple other towns there. I've traveled through there. Luckily, in 2015, I took a tour. My family's from a couple of towns in Sicily. One from a town called Polina in the province of Palermo near Cefalù.
Yeah.
Another in Messina, the town of it's called Santo Stefano di Camastra. And then another side from my grandmother's side, they're from a town called Calascibetta in the province of Enna.
You know, Camastra, the town. There's a town called Camastra in the province of Agrigento. You know that?
Is it really?
Yeah, Camastra.
Just Camastra.
All the wise guys came out of there.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So you're from around Palermo and Messina, you and I may be cousins.
I don't know about that.
You never know. Small island.
Well, I mean, yeah, you never know. My mother's maiden name was actually Musotto. That was how it was changed before they came over. And they changed it at Ellis Island. Yes. Musotto, yes.
Yeah, sure.
And so I guess I was curious. So I didn't grow up in New York. There was no really wise guy element, at least in my years growing up. I'm 34. But I think there was a Gambino faction in Baltimore at one point. And I was just curious, did you ever have any interactions with those individuals when you were younger or hear much about them?
Yeah, not me. I was too young at the time. But our family goes way back. Where Joe Trainer handled the Baltimore faction, and then later on Joe Gallo. We had some. My grandfather had a gumbada there in Baltimore.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, there was a story that my grandfather, my father had a house next to each other. My grandfather bought the two of them, and then gave that one to my father. And upstairs, my father had 6 rooms. He left empty most of the time. They would play cards there when the cops would break up the social club or whatever. So there was a guy that came one day. He was in a wheelchair, and I was a little kid. And they brought him upstairs. They fixed up the apartment for him, and he was there. And he was like, I was told, like a relative, but not blood. And he was shot and doing a score or doing a robbery or something. And he was on the lam. And he stayed up there for maybe a year or so, I think, if I remember. And then he left. So we did have a strong connection there. Now, I never knew the guy's name.
Mhm.
I was still young.
Sure.
Because then, you hear about later on, we got friends and relatives from Baltimore, but not
Sure.
blood relatives. So
Right.
Baltimore was a huge faction for the Gambino family going way back. Before
Yeah.
it was the Gambino family.
Interesting. Yeah, because my father grew up, I think, there's a couple names I recall. There was Larry Corby, I think he was the captain, at least, for Baltimore. There were a couple other folks. One was involved with boxing, I think. I can't recall the last name, but they had connections with a guy named Frankie Carbo, I think, in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure if he was with the Lucchese's or if he was with a different family. I think he was with the Lucchese's.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
He was huge with boxing.
Yes. And I have to give credit because.
His
Go ahead.
character may be in the character that made Jim Bull, maybe.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay.
So it's actually the other name was Magliano, actually. was the other name of somebody involved. But we're going back years now because I think most of what was here died out probably in the 80s. But I give a lot of credit to obviously the mob archaeologists because I frequent the same resource that they do and communicate on there too. So it's they do a lot of good work. And I mean, everything I've learned about, I think even like the geography of Sicily and how I was able to at least find some of my roots, I learned from reading how they organized the different structures of Cosa Nostra in Sicily, and the different mandamenti and the provinces and all that kind of stuff. And that really just had me, from a research perspective, like looking into the different maps and all that kind of stuff. So it was very, very, very interesting stuff. And you know, hearing you talk about the older history, like Toto d'Aquila, and how, you know, he's really not an unknown figure.
Right.
But you know, living in 2022, most people know, you know, John Gotti, Paul Castellano, the Chin, all those folks. But if you really were to think about it, I mean, that guy must have had enormous influence, you know, and it's hard to quantify that when you don't have recordings and all that, you know, video recordings of the people, and I guess a time when it's not really known as to how influential he probably would have been at that point in time.
You're 100% correct, and that's what see, a person like you. So maybe we'll have you on with the mob archaeologist one night. Seems to know your stuff, and you can throw some questions out at them.
Well, it'd be an honor. It really would be. Those guys, they've written some books. I have one of their books in my house. Yeah, it's great. I actually really like that era, mostly because it was when it was very much in its infancy. My grandfather had people that he knew in New Orleans years ago, and a lot of just historical immigration patterns going back to New Orleans is a very fascinating thing for me, because everyone thinks that New York would be the initial stopping point. It's not. But yeah, very fascinating stuff. And I don't want to hold anybody else up, but thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed
Carmen,
it. Yes.
Carmen, our email.
RJ, if a lot of the stuff you could go over with RJ if you want, you get our email.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to say.
Correspond with him through that's what you're going to say. I'm reading your mind.
Yep. Yeah.
Correspond with RJ because that's his niche. That era, just like the mob archaeologists, they have the same niche, that same era. He's very proficient at that era also. So maybe we'll get you on the show one time because I like it. I like somebody that's straight into that and knows his history. That's one of my niches also.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of digging recently. So my years ago, I used to think that my father's side was actually from, well, my paternal great grandfather was from Naples. I thought, because we never really knew where he came from, and he used to be confused with certain people in New York. And I found out he's not. He's actually from Tuscany, so he's from a totally different part of Italy. But yeah, it was very fascinating stuff. But thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
So hey, our email's in the show about section.
Okay.
Send me your email. We'll get in touch with you. We do a phone call every now and then, once a month or so, with everybody. Michael and myself. Sometimes Mikey's on, and the mob archaeologist. So if you want to talk to any of those guys or meet someone, just shoot us your email. Okay, we'll try to put you in touch with them.
That'd be great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yep. So, all right, we got this next person I'm going to bring on. I see Jefton in the back room. Sit tight, buddy. We're bringing you on too. But this next person I want to bring on, and then I want to answer John O'Master's question, because that question is important to him, and he is a very supportive member of our show. But this next person I'm going to bring on, I can, first time I ever saw her face, I can see her in the background here. But this is probably, it's funny because people will sometimes say to me, it's an honor to talk to you. It's an honor to see this person and bring her on to the show. She has sent me so many nice comments and emails early on when I first started. She's very supportive to our channel, always motivating, always positive, always just, I wish there was a way that we had the ability to express our real gratitude as much to the highest level I could to some of these commenters, because some people, it's a lot of jackasses, as we all know, that sometimes you meet, but sometimes you meet some truly good people. Some people are really good, and this person here is one of them. Grind Jr.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I've been hospitalized. I've been sick. Today is probably my best day ever. And I have not wanted to come on because I haven't had the energy to do it. But I'm from New Orleans, still here. I don't know a whole lot about the New Orleans mob except for Carlos and back in the day. My dad was a big union leader, and now I'm kind of wondering about some things. But I remember a question was asked as who would play Mikey Scars in a movie. Do y'all remember that?
Yep.
And I thought about it, and y'all talking about fences. I said the only person that could ever capture Mikey Scars' personality would be Denzel. And obviously he wouldn't play you. But I honestly believe he could be the only one that would do it.
Well, that's a hell of a compliment. And he has a lot of passion when he does things. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he could be the only one that could get you, Mikey. I really do. Hi, Junior.
Hi, how are you? Nice to finally meet you.
I am a girl, obviously. I don't know how I got Grind Junior. I'm not too well with all of this computer stuff, and I'm actually on my phone. But I'm in my bedroom and still sick, as you can see, taking it easy. But things are working out. I have a lot of tests coming up. It was pretty shocking that I had all this because I'm pretty healthy all the way through. I take no medicine or anything. Now I'm on a whole bunch of different medicine, but hopefully it all works out. And I've been a big fan of RJ from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I like the way that he doesn't fight with people, you know. He just ignores all of the craziness. And I listened to a few shows, but lately, the whole last 2 weeks, I just haven't wanted to listen to anybody. But when you guys come on, I immediately click on.
Oh, thank you
a lot. Thank you.
Rhonda, Grind.
Well, my name is Rhonda. You're
sorry,
right.
I didn't mean to say that.
If I could change it, I would. I tried. I don't know how.
Well, they make songs about you, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
See?
That the Beach Boys, they wrote it all about me.
Rhonda, I can't tell you.
People that are younger don't know about that, Mike.
Yeah, for sure.
Because years ago, I worked in the restaurant business. Okay, I am a retired firefighter, but I also worked the restaurant business and all the good restaurants out here. And they would always sing that to me, customers. But I noticed these days they don't really know that song.
That's right. We're dated, but still a great song. The Beach Boys, can't forget the Beach Boys. A big, huge impact and out time. But you're younger than me.
I'm not that much younger than you, Mike. I promise you. I don't know how old you are. I'm 59.
I got you by decade almost.
Okay. And I do like your son. I've seen him on a few podcasts. Chad Marks. He's incredible.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that.
And RJ, you're just incredible yourself.
Grind, I can't tell you how many times I truly mean it.
You made a shout out to me once before, so I was happy with that too.
Yeah, I said you on my last live on Black Handprint, but I wish commenters knew how much of I wish commenters, viewers knew how much they really do. People like you and Jane and some other like really popular ones everyone knows. People who are just encouraging, push you forward even when you had a bad show or you messed something up. I fucked up. There's times I mixed up a date. You don't get this is the place where there's no forgiveness granted. You know, you say 2002 rather than 2004, slip of the tongue, you're dead. I mean, you get slaughtered. It's tough, you know, but I appreciate you always being so encouraging. You sent so many nice messages to me. I always get a comment from you, so I appreciate you.
I did want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
You know, I watched The Godfather when I was about 18 and 19, not when it came out because I was too young. But when I did watch it, I walked away with, I remember Michael Francis said, I can't believe people want to know about all the violence, you know? And I said, well, that's not what I want to know about. I want to know why they're so intelligent and they go into that life, you know? And that was my question coming out of The Godfather. These intelligent people, and I mean, to risk a lot of the jail time and everything else. And I certainly wasn't raised in anything like that. So I didn't know, you know? So I was wondering why people are so smart that commit the crimes. But I'm learning that from you guys. I never got that answer, ever got that answer until I started watching y'all.
Thank you. That's a hell of a compliment.
Yeah.
That was
And I thank y'all. I'm sorry I'm a mess because
We
You
hope
look great.
I
Thank
feel
you
like
for
I'm a
coming
complete
on.
mess. But my name is Rhonda. I'll go under grind because I can't figure out how to change it. I'm totally tech stupid. So, but you guys have a good night. Stay safe, stay
too.
healthy,
You're
and I
welcome.
love y'all all.
Take care, Rhonda.
All right. I'm going to be fine. I promise. I just got to do a little work here.
All right. Stay in touch with us, okay?
I will. I will.
All right.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much. Bye bye,
Yeah.
y'all.
good night.
I'm gonna bring on one last guy. His name's Justin. But before I jump on to him, I want to make sure I ask John O'Master's question. Now, Michael, this question is a little. I know you don't really like to get into stuff this current, and if you don't want to answer it live, we'll call. We'll get on the phone with John. We'll call him. We'll talk to him about it. But his question is about the rumors that surround Joe Watts being an informant.
Rumors are rumors, just that. I know some people have opinions about it. I have my opinion, but I won't say it right now. The guy's free. The guy was in prison before. Who am I to tag a guy without proof of anything? If somebody has proof and they're out here, they want to make Joe Watts a rat, that's up to them to try and prove that if that's what their agenda is. For me, like I said, I'll reserve an opinion because I don't have a fact. And if I did have a fact and the guy was in the street, I would never say it. So respectfully, I'll decline to give my opinion. That doesn't mean it's a yes when I say decline. If there's rumors out there, let other people say and prove it if it's so. Because if they have the timidity to call a guy that's free a rat, they should prove it. I like Joe Watts. I'll hold him in a high regard when I was in the street. Murderer or not, I still like the guy when I was in the street. He was the classiest guy ever. As a young man that I was, held me. He was who he was, wise guy or not. He was like a captain his whole life. Always treated me well. So I will not put a tag on a guy unless I had proof of something. So, like I said, it's a hard thing to call somebody a rat that's free and put that tag on him. I've seen a lot of guys get killed for that in my life, with that fake rumor the guy's a rat and he gets clipped. So I'd rather not go there. And in my opinion, nobody should go there unless they want to prove it. And what are they going to prove once they did it? I don't understand.
Thanks, Michael. So we're going to bring on Justin, and I'll let him pronounce his last name. Justin, how you doing, brother?
Hey guys, how's it going?
How do you say your name?
Lucarelli, and then Wegger is
Okay.
my father's last name.
How you doing, bro?
I'm sorry.
Good, good. How are you guys?
What's your question for Michael?
So I have a couple questions. My first question is, do you put neck bones in your spaghetti sauce when you make it?
No.
No?
First of all, that would be gravy.
Okay.
Anything with
No,
meat-
here in the Midwest, we call it sauce, and a lot of people here put neck bones in the sauce, but other places they don't do that. So I don't know if that's like a thing that took place here in America where they did that, or is that something back home in the motherland?
Well, look, everybody makes a sauce or a gravy differently. For me, anytime you put a bone in a sauce, a tomato sauce, you put a bone, it's called gravy, and that makes the sauce so much better. Anything with a bone, no matter what kind of neck bone or any other bone, except for chicken.
Yeah.
Put chicken in there. But I guess you can make cacciatore and that'd be sauce. But
Yeah.
no, we don't. I never did it. Maybe some do.
Okay. No, my mother's family's from Calabria originally, my grandparents. So I don't know if that was like a Southern Italian thing or what have you. My next question is, so I drink a lot of espresso, and my question to you is, who have you known in your life or in the life that like just drank the most espresso ever? Like I can drink like 15 shots of espresso in a day, like it's nothing. So
I drink a lot of espresso.
That you do.
Yeah, I drink a lot of espresso.
What about you, Mikey Jr.? Did you take on that habit?
I did. It gets me a little hyper towards the like
Yeah.
5 after I drink it, but I do love it. What kind of espresso do you drink? What brand? I like Illy.
I like La Raza, or there's this my girlfriend's Mexican, so they got this Spanish brand
That's good.
that we use. And then we have a couple good coffee shops here, so
Bustelo or Palone?
the Bustelo, yep. And then my ex is actually from Venezuela, so she had a lot of good South American coffees that her family would bring out here.
The Cubans make a good one, a colada. The
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Delicious.
Pretty good, yeah.
So my last question, I just saw a Bronx Tale recently. Chaz came out here to the Chicago area. I thought it was phenomenal. My favorite movie of all time. Have any of you guys had the luxury of being able to see the live show?
No, but I was on that set.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Bobby Borriello's son was in there. Nicky Carrasco's brother was in there. Some other guys I knew from the neighborhood were in there.
Yeah.
Really well. Rusty, Beansy. I know most of the guys that were in that show. Yep.
So it's authentic.
Well, I like the show a lot because there's a lot of lessons in there. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, the casket scene says it all.
Yeah.
Only
No, I got the saddest thing in life is wasted talent tatted on me because ever since I heard that since I was young, it just always had a big impact on me because it's true. We all grew up with that person that could have been, the biggest person ever, in whatever they were trying to pursue, but whatever stopped them from doing it, came about. So.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. And drugs was a major factor in stopping people from being that it was supposed to be. In sports in my neighborhood, there was a lot of great guys that could have been, you went to the minor leagues at a minimum. Great ball play. We had a lot of great ball players come out of my neighborhood.
Yeah.
There could have been a lot more, and drugs really destroyed it. So, so I think that hurt a lot of people from in any aspect of life, business and other, that stopped them, or when they were there, crushed them getting involved with drugs. So wasted talent. Very good.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it, and have a good night.
Thank
and
you
RJ, keep up the good work, man. You're amazing, bro. You're amazing.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Greatly
All right,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Brian Jr., I seen your comment. You're right. It's sauce until you add the meat. Then it'd be gravy.
Well, if anyone else wants to come in, you got a few seconds to let me to pop in, but I don't see anybody else here, and so.
Well, tell Carmine S hello. Carmine S is a good. You want to give him a shout out? Carmine S is a couple.
Yeah, let me just. So I want to just so many comments coming in. It's so hard to. Let me take a couple. Let me see if there's any considering. I want to ask Mikey if he ever knew Angelo Ruggiero.
Sure. Who didn't know Angelo? John, we were walking down Mulberry Street one day, and he was already mad with Angelo. And we walked past the payphone that we were going to eat in Taraminas. And he walked past, and this is John. He goes, pick up that phone. I bet you Angelo's on the other end. So everybody knew Angelo Ruggiero.
Well, let me just shout out some names real quick. And Pat Travelino, thanks for coming on the show. John O'Master, like I said, brother, you are major supporter. You call me all the time. I owe you a phone call. I was working all day today when you were calling, so I will give you a call. Carmine S, thank you. No drama here. No drama here.
You got also Kay, and you had Kate Lacey.
Kate Lacey is always very supportive. Thank you, Kate Lacey. Pete the Greek, always very supportive of us.
How about that? Give you one? Brew
City, major supporter. Thank you, Brew City, for all your support.
Love your narratives. Very good. Keep it coming. Pete the Greek. Yep.
Kate Lacey. Ali Shabard donated to the channel. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Jeff Nadeau donated to the channel. Thank you, Jeff. There was some other people. I just can't find it. But anyone who anyone who I missed, if you donated today to the channel, thank you. Appreciate it. Des Capo, thanks for being here. Darren McGinn, I see you comment a lot too. Thank you for being here. Explosive 900 pictures, thank you for being here. Questions from Michael Sr. Did you ever heard from an old timer or met Paul Whitney from Bath Beach? His sister married Mario Red Trainer.
Well, I know the trainers very well. Paul Whitney. No.
Paul Whitey. Sorry.
Paul Whitey. No.
No.
Maybe he has a different name. I definitely know him. He's from the name. I know the trainers are very close. I used to see Mario all the time. And he had a brother that was legit, never got in a life. And Johnny Ferrara married Joe Trainer's daughter, I believe. Johnny Ferrara was very close to our family, and his brother Jimmy. So I probably know him, just the name is confusing me right now.
Kate Lacey wants to know if you take your vodka straight or with a mixer. He drinks it with apple juice.
Straight. Straight, no fruit in it.
Just a little ice, right?
That's a little bit, a couple of cubes.
Yeah. American Made. I see some of your work, brother. American Made is a fellow channel in this genre. Thanks for being here, American Made. We appreciate your support. Let's see here. We got Rob Zajak here who wants to come in. We got another couple minutes here. And I'm going to sign off here soon. I'm going to bring in Rob briefly. How you doing, Rob?
Oh, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
How you doing?
Good. I was having a little.
Pretty good. How are you? How you doing?
Got a little bit of connection problems here, Rob. You're not coming in very clear.
Is that Romeo in the background?
I think
You
we
hear him?
lost.
Hey, Romeo, yeah.
We lost Rob. I think he's having some connection problems.
So we'll put Rob on the list for the next time we do a live.
Rob, we got you on the list, brother. Send me an email. We'll bring you on. Sorry about that. But guys,
Joey Accardo, one more. Joey Accardo. I've seen from here without my glasses. I can't believe it. Sanfilippo. I think he's related to Jimmy Sanfilippo also. Yeah, I know the Sanfilippos. Joe Accardo. Thank you.
yeah. Anybody whose name we didn't say, I apologize. We
got Brad Nicolaides. He's in here.
okay.
Brad's a good guy. He did the show with Convict Inc.
Yep.
Great story. Anybody wants to go see a great story about a cousin from abroad? Nice major criminal. Go see the story on Convict Inc. Nice man.
Yeah, it was a very good show.
So guys, thank you. This was not even a plan to do this. We just kind of popped in. So many of you guys came in. I appreciate that. There was over 300 people in the live. That's great for an unplanned show. Again, I always say this. I know Mike was probably saying, RJ, shut up. You make us sound too biased. Michael's my brother. You guys have been so good and in your outreach, and for you guys, I appreciate. I'll never be to thank you enough for you guys being supportive to our channel, for being gentlemen on our channel, for conducting yourself like gentlemen. We don't have any wrenches. You can see inside the live today. There's not one wrench. We don't have to block people. People are gentlemen on our page, and I'm a big believer that energies match. If you conduct yourself like gentlemen, then you attract a gentleman energy back to you. I think that's what me and Michael try to do on our channel. trying to conduct ourselves with a certain level of decorum. I think that's why we get such great people who are on our channel. So thank you guys for supporting. Mikey Jr., I appreciate you, brother. You help us out so much in the background, and you coming on tonight. We appreciate you. Mikey is as involved in this channel, guys, as I am and as his father is. So we all work together. We all have different responsibilities, but we get together on conference calls in 3 ways to strategize and plan and decide what we're going to do. So,
Yeah, thank you, RJ. I appreciate that, bro.
yeah. So, if you ever want to, if you guys, when you guys make requests, we always try to give it back. So if you have anything you want to ask Mikey, or you want to, Mikey's always available to do it, to come on and do a show. So if it's anything that you guys want to ask Mikey about, or you want us to do a show on, and from Mikey's perspective, just shoot us an email, and we'll coordinate it. We'll get it done. So thank you. This has been, again, I'll never be to say thank you enough. Go ahead, Michael.
Very good. Thank you for everybody's patience and participation in this. Again, sorry we couldn't get to anybody. This live was decided last night, and we made everybody else inclusive at about 6 minutes to 5. Because we don't want to leave you guys out. You've been so great to us. We wanted you to enjoy this. Thank you again.
Mikey.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming in. I didn't know if I was going to make it tonight. I had a lot going on, but I got a couple of minutes, and I wanted to come in and wanted to join up. And it's always a pleasure seeing all the comments and interacting with everybody. It was a real good show. Good night. I enjoyed it.
I do have to feed the cat, John.
Hey, Tommy Stiggs, you're welcome on any time, brother. Enjoy your night out with your lady friend. He says, "Hey, Scars, do you remember guys from my neighborhood? Bobby Cabert, Buddy Muss, and Little Sammy."
Yeah, Casaro.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Friends of Tommy's, it looks like.
Bobby Cabert, I heard, was a hell of a softball pitcher. That's how he got his name. K. Burt.
Yeah. Guys, we're signing off. We'll see you in the comment section. Not me, but you'll have Michael up all night.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.